Hello friends, today's topic is what is two nations theory? My lesson plan includes why it is in the news, what is the definition of two nations theory, causes of the genesis of two nations theory, consequences of the two nations theory, limitations of this theory, and finally conclusion. Friends, as you know that Pakistani Chief of the Army, General Asim Munir, said the other day that Pakistanis should pass on the ideology of the two nation theory to their children. In a public speech, he pointed out the difference between the Hindus and Muslims. He invoked the theory of two nations to establish an exclusive identity of Pakistan based upon Islamic religion. He said that our forefathers believed that both Hindus and Muslims are different, their traditions are different, their customs are different, their ambitions are different, their religions are different, and so they could not coexist together in a united India.
Well, our forefathers thought that we are different from the Hindus in every possible aspect of life. Our religion is different, our customs are different, our traditions are different, our thoughts are different, our ambitions are different. That was the foundation of the two-nation theory that was laid there. That we are two nations, we are not one nation. So because of that, our forefathers, they struggled, mounted that incessant struggle to create this country. Our forefathers, they have sacrificed immensely.
We have rejected the theory of two nations, and we continue to believe in that. So there is no need for any ISI chief to try to provoke things over here.
Now friends, what is the definition of the two nation theory? According to this theory, Hindus and Muslims are two nations, not only two different religions, but they constitute two nations based upon separate religion, culture and social beliefs. It further held that in the British India, they could not coexist because their differences could not be reconciled, and so they must have separate homelands. And that's why this theory of two nations became the ideological foundation based upon religion for the genesis of Pakistan. Now friends, what are the causes for the genesis of two nations theory? As you know that Hindu religion and Islamic religion are quite different from each other. They are different in social beliefs, customs and traditions, but they reconciled their differences in the 700 years before the outbreak of 1857 revolt. As you know that in 1857 revolt, both Hindus and Muslims participated conjointly, and the level of participation of Muslims was far greater than that of Hindus. But after the failure of the revolt of 1857, which is also called First War of Independence, the differences exacerbated because of the certain tendencies among Hindus and Muslims. For example, our Samajists launched a vigorous campaign for Shuddhi movement, whereby those Hindus who got converted to Islam were requested to come back to the Hindu religious fold. Similarly, Wahhabi movement stressed upon the purity of Islam. It was an orthodox movement which wanted to have purity in Islam, and all the external influences that has come on the Islamic religion must be wiped out, like the influence of Sufi saints upon Islamic religion, visiting of the Muslim and Hindus to mazars, tombs of Sufi saints. The leaders of Wahhabi movements declared these practices un-Islamic. So Wahhabi movement focused upon exclusiveness of Islam religion. There were also cultural and social differences between Hindus and Muslims. Their customs, their traditions were quite different from that of Hindus. Social practices like marriage, divorce, adoption, the method of burials or cremation were completely different from that of Hindus. Moreover, Muslims aligned with Urdu language while Hindus preferred for Hindi. Friends, after the revolt of 1857, the British government retaliated against Muslims. They were of the view that the revolt of 1857 was the handiwork of Muslim Zamindars and Nawabs. And so, after the failure of the 1857 revolt, the British government started crushing the Muslim Zamindars and Nawabs. Their lands and jagirs were confiscated and distributed among peasants. They were denied modern education. They have fewer opportunities to get government jobs. So Hindus dominated in trade and government jobs. Hindus got more education facilities than their Muslim brethren. And that's why Sir Syed Ahmad Khan spearheaded the Aligarh movement, whereby he focused upon the modern education should be imparted to Muslims. The marginalization of Muslims further alienated the harmony with Hindus. The divide and rule policy adopted by the Britishers further exacerbated the gap between the Hindu and Muslim in India. Till 1890, the Britishers supported Hindus. But when Hindus started demanding different kinds of concession under the umbrella of Congress, the British government became very much conscious. The British government changed its attitude towards Congress. Congress became very much vocal about demanding Indianization of government jobs, remission of taxes, separation of judiciary from executive, high import duties upon British goods, and the revival of indigenous handicraft industries. And so now the British government changed their attitude towards Hindus and started supporting Muslims by helping in the establishment of Muslim League in 1906 to safeguard exclusively the Muslim interests. Secondly, under Morley-Minto reforms in 1909, the British government provided for the separate electorates for Muslims, thereby creating a wedge between Hindu and Muslims. Failure of Hindu-Muslim unity efforts was another cause for the genesis of two-nation theory. Friends, as you know that under 1616, the Lucknow Pact was signed between Muslim League and Congress, whereby Congress legitimized the provision of separate electorates of 1909. But the mistrust between the leadership of the Congress and Muslim League persisted on account of the rejection of Congress of the demand of proportional representation raised by the Muslim League. The failure of Nehru Report in 1928 to accommodate Muslim concerns further exacerbated or aggravated the chasm between Hindu and Muslim communities. The Muslim leadership, in retaliation, brought 14 points to support Muslim demands before the British government. Last but not the least, another important factor for the genesis of two-nation theory was the reverses of Muslim League in the provincial election of 1937 under Government of India Act 1935. Friends, as you know that in that election, Congress got landslide victory in 7 provinces out of 11 provinces, and in other 2 states it formed government with the help of other minor parties. But the position of the Muslim League was shattered, so much so that it got only 109 seats out of 482 Muslim reserved seats. However, Muslim League came a poor third in the provinces of Punjab and Bengal, which were Muslim dominated areas. In Punjab, the Unionist Party came out as the largest party, and in Bengal, Krisak Praja Party came out as the largest party. So before 1937, the important demands of Muslim leagues happened to be the safeguards of Muslim interest, to secure separate electorates for Muslims, to have wider representation of Muslim in state legislatures, to safeguard the culture and religion of Muslims within the framework of a federal and united India. But after the reverses of 1937 provincial election, the Muslim League completely changed its policy. It articulated two-nation theory, whereby it started demanding separate homelands for Muslims living in northwestern provinces and eastern province of Bengal. This demand of two-nation further culminated in the Pakistan resolution adopted in 1940 at Lahore. It should be noted that in the provincial election of 1945-46, Muslim League got landslide victory in Muslim reserve areas. For example, it captured 425 seats out of 482 seats reserved for Muslims in provincial elections. The landslide victory of Muslim League further hardened its demand for separate homeland, that is Pakistan. Now friends, I switch over to the consequences of the two-nation theory. The two-nation theory led to the creation of partition of India between Pakistan and India. Entire northwestern states like Western Punjab, northwestern frontier, Sindh, Balochistan, all these states were grouped into the western Pakistan, while the eastern Bengal and some areas of Assam like Sylhet, they formed the eastern Pakistan. Later on, in 1972, it became an independent country called Bangladesh. The partition of India led to the killing of more than 10 lakh people. More than 150 lakh, 15 to 20 million people crossed from Pakistan to India or vice versa. It led to the untold miseries upon women. More than 1 lakh women were raped and killed. Even after the creation of Pakistan, it did not resolve the Kashmir and minority issues. Friends, as you know that since independence, India and Pakistan waged 4 wars. Pakistan is still exporting terrorists to Kashmir to disrupt its social and political life and wants to liberate Jammu and Kashmir from India. Recently, on 22nd April 2025, 26 tourists were killed and many more were injured in Pahalgam area of Kashmir. India retaliated by snapping the Treaty of Indus Water signed in 1960 between two countries, whereby the waters of Indus, Jhelum and Chenab was to be utilized by Pakistan, and eastern rivers of Satluj, Bias and River was to be utilized by India. India also shut down imports from Pakistan. It banned its airspace for Pakistani airlines. It ordered for the vacation of all Pakistani citizens traveling under SAARC visa. Similarly, Pakistan retaliated by suspending Simla Agreement signed in 1972, whereby all issues between India and Pakistan was to be resolved bilaterally without the involvement of third power. It also banned its airspace for Indian Airlines. The two-nation theory further left permanent scars on Hindu and Muslim communities. Friends, as you know that since independence, there has been hundreds of communal rights in India. It is also to be noted that the two-nation theory further failed to take into account the linguistic, ethnic diversity within Pakistan. And so, in 1972, a new country called Bangladesh came into being after being aggrieved of marginalization from Western Pakistan. What are the limitations of two nations theory? Friends, you know that it laid stress upon oversimplification of religious identity, ignoring ethnic, linguistic and social or regional diversity. As you know that the Muslim of Punjab are more akin to Hindus of Punjab culturally and socially rather than the Muslims of Eastern Bengal. Similarly, Muslims of Eastern Bengal had identical cultural traits with Bengali Hindus rather than Muslims of Western Pakistan. And this was the reason for the creation of an independent country called Bangladesh in 1972. The theory failed to address the problems of Muslim minority in India, Hindu minority in Bangladesh and Pakistan. Friends, as you know that on the eve of the independence of India, there were 21% Muslims in Western Pakistan and about 30% Muslims in Eastern Pakistan, that is now called Bangladesh. Now their population reduced to 2 to 3% in Western Pakistan and 8 to 9% in Eastern Pakistan. During the time of independence, the Muslims constituted 35 million in India after partition, and as of now their population increased to 180 millions, that is 18 crores. So while Muslim population has increased by leaps and bounds in India, the Hindu population in Pakistan and in Bangladesh have very much dipped, and this is a matter of great concern for all of us. The two-nation theory and the consequent partition of India further disrupted Indian economy, so much so that after partition, India became a food shortage country because most of the food producing areas went to Western Pakistan. Similarly, the maximum jute producing area went to Eastern Pakistan, while maximum jute factories were around Kolkata. Moreover, the social fabric of the provinces of Punjab and Bengal were totally torn asunder. Finally, two nations theory and consequent partition of India struck down the shared architecture, sculpture, music, paintings, literature, dance, drama and cinema. Friends, as you know that before partition, Lahore had a thriving cinema industry, but after partition, its position went down. Friends, in spite of the enunciation of two nations theory by the Muslim League, the partition could not be effected without the support of the British imperialists. According to the noted scholar Ishtiaq Ahmad, the partition became possible only because of the support extended by the British imperialists. It wanted to create a country which could follow its imperialistic design and to subserve its interest in the Middle East. It could provide concession in the form of free air base and the recruitment of Muslim soldiers from Western Pakistan to serve the British imperialist army. According to Ishtiaq Ahmad, a united India under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru could not be a pliable tool in the hands of British imperialists after independence. So friends, I just want to conclude that the two-nation theory was an artificial theory designed by Asarfia Muslims, that is upper class Muslims, who wanted to have separate homelands to exert their power and privileges. Its sole emphasis upon religion and ignoring ethnic, linguistic and regional diversity was completely erroneous. Because of this two nation theory, both India and Pakistan have been suffering since they got independence. Lakhs of people on either side got killed. Pseudo war is still going on between India and Pakistan. So friends, now I have concluded my lecture. If you have any suggestion, please just give me feedback. I will be very much thankful to you. Thank you very much.